Welcome to the Entrepreneur Happy Hour, where we dive into the world of business. I'm your host, Kimberlee Deneice, and each week we will bring you inspiring interviews, insightful business trends, and stories from entrepreneurs around the globe. Join us as we explore their journeys, uncover the highs and lows, and everything in between. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner, there is something here for you. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and let's talk about business. I am so excited to have with me today an amazing software developer who built his company from the ground up. It is an app that's called Neurture, and I am so excited to chat with him today and just get to know more about his work and just share his journey with you all. On to the episode. All right, Brady. It is so good to have you here with me today, and I'm just excited. First, I know you're in Boston, so how's the weather there?
Yeah, it's getting pretty cold. So I've got like warm socks on and we're not doing so much biking these days, but yeah, we're working with it.
I love it. It's cold here too in Memphis, and it is always so hot here that people always act stunned once winter finally hits. So it's always so funny when the weather transitions. But I've been getting my peppermint mochas, getting all, ready for Christmas and everything. And, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, what is your favorite beverage?
Oh, I'm pretty plain. I mean, I really like seltzer, and for me, it's like the more carbonation and the more bubbles and the more it can just like hit me in the mouth, the better. So, yeah, I like seltzer. And in terms of flavors, I guess like an orange vanilla seltzer is really nice to me.
Okay, come on with the seltzers. So you're that friend. If I go out with you and they ask us if we order water and they ask if we want still or sparkling, you're probably going to order the sparkling water.
Yeah, yeah. But I am pretty frugal, so sometimes I would just go still just because it's free.
Free. Listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Well, I wanted to ask you too, before we kind of jump into the interview questions, what is a fun fact about you that most people don't already know?
Ooh, a fun fact that most people don't already know. Um, yeah, I would say that I'm a pretty transparent person, so it's tough to come up with something that that people don't already know. But um, yeah, I come off as like being pretty frugal, but I grew up even more frugal, and I think I get that from my mother and her father as well. So I'm really hesitant to throw away any food because yeah, I just don't like to waste food. So anytime my wife throws stuff away, I'm like, why did you throw that away? So yeah, I don't like to throw away food. I don't like to waste food. So that's just kind of a weird little quirk about me.
You're not still eating Thanksgiving leftovers, are you? Or have
No
they kind
comment.
of
No
expired?
comment.
No comment. I love it. Listen, I don't like to throw away food either. I try to find creative ways, especially as an entrepreneur, being on the go so much, creative ways to do things with my food, even if I'm like eating the same thing because I meal prep because it's going to be a busy week. A lot of times I don't eat out either, and it's not because I'm trying to be frugal. I need to be more frugal like you, but it's usually because I'm not going to have the time to stop, and
hmm
so I meal prep a lot. And a lot of times, you just make the same thing and then you're eating it. And after so many days, it can get a little boring and a little
Yeah.
challenging, but I'm inspired by you. I'm going to grow up and I'm going to do better with working to be more frugal in 2025. See, you've inspired me if no one else, right?
Good, good. Yeah. Hey, we can all do a little bit better, myself included.
I love it. I love it. So I want to kind of talk more about your business and what it is that you do. So first, if you'll give me, a little bit more background about the app, and also just tell me what inspired you to launch your business. What's kind of the story behind your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. So, um, I've always kind of, well, I've always really been interested in technology and sometimes a little too much. I think I was probably addicted to my phone before it was cool to be addicted to your phone. And so that kind of like has always been on my mind is how I'm using technology and to what extent. And so for me, that's been a goal and really like my mental health focus a lot. So that kind of led naturally into this idea that I had, which was making a research-based app that uses therapeutic methods to help people overcome unwanted habits or addictive behaviors or really any kind of behavior that they don't want to engage in. And so I felt like there are starting to be a lot of really good apps in the mental health world that help people with anxiety, even some depression, focusing on sleep, stuff like that. But the apps and kind of the digital tools that are available to help people break habits or overcome addictive behaviors are kind of just limited to sobriety counters. And there are a few others, but sobriety counters don't really track with a lot of people. Like if you're trying to cut back on social media, then a sobriety counter isn't going to help you. Um, so anyway, that was kind of one of the seeds of the idea. But Neurture is a research-based app that, like I said, uses different therapeutic and science-based methods to help people overcome habits. So in practice, that is affirmations, it is meditation, journaling, and a few others. But it also incorporates an AI chat into it and allows that to kind of reference people out to different activities to do that are specifically helpful based on like that person's circumstances.
I love that. I also love the way you decided to spell the name. What kind of was your motivation behind the spelling of nurture?
Yeah, so nurture is the way that I spell it is Neurture. So it's like a combination of neuro and the word nurture. So neuro is relating to the brain, and nurture is kind of like compassionate care for someone, really. And it's basically a marriage of the two ideas that I wanted to base the app and really like the philosophy and concept off of, which is that a lot of times when people are trying to break habits or change, they kind of shame themselves into things, even at a small level. So maybe it's like, um, I want to reduce my snacking, and if I've had, too many cookies, let's say I want to have no cookies tonight. We just ate cookies last night. That's why this is on my mind. But let's say tonight I'm like, I'm not going to have any cookies. And I'll be like, if I have a cookie, then I'm gonna like take away this other thing. Maybe I won't be able to watch TV or something like that. And so a lot of times we naturally develop this kind of punitive or harsh way of hoping to change our behaviors. But a lot of research shows that the more compassionate that we are to ourselves, the more we're able to actually change. So that doesn't necessarily mean letting ourselves off the hook, but when
Mm.
we are kind and compassionate to ourselves, when we actually are nurturing to ourselves, then we're more likely to change. And on the other side, it's not just saying like, rah, rah, you got this, and then you're all set. I think it's really important to use like proven methods, science-backed approaches. And so that's kind of the marriage of the neuro and the nurture.
Okay, so you said something that I'm just still kind of stuck on. When we are kinder to ourselves, what was the rest of that? Because I need the people in the back to hear that.
Yeah. And again, it's not to let ourselves off the hook. It's not to say like, you know what, I'm perfect. I'm doing great. But when we are kinder to ourselves, that really gives us more space to change and more space to improve at whatever our goals are. So it could be to go back to my previous example, it could be cutting back on the number of cookies that I'm eating, cutting back on my treats, my sweets, whatever. Or it could be that, I've decided I want to run every day. And when we are kind and compassionate, understanding to ourselves, then we're more likely to have room to change and have room to reach those goals. But when we tell ourselves negative things, even subconsciously, we might have this thought that I might have a thought, I'm fat, or I have no self control, or I'm not healthy. When I say those things to myself, there are a variety of different things that happen, but one of those things, and I'm not a psychologist, so take each of these, research these things, but one of the things that happens is that I believe the things that I'm telling myself. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if I tell myself I don't have self-control, then I'll believe that. And then it's going to reinforce that. So coming away from that and being
Mm.
like, you know what, I had cookies last night, but that happens sometimes. Everybody doesn't reach their goals perfectly. And tomorrow I can reach whatever goal I've set. And that doesn't mean that, I've ruined my week or my year just because I did one thing on one day. That doesn't mean the year is ruined. It's not an all or nothing.
I love that so much. And I love that you said about being kinder to ourselves, but I also heard like some self-awareness in there, right? And there's something that John Maxwell says, you have to know yourself to grow yourself. And this sounds a lot like that, right? We're being kind to ourselves, acknowledging any habits or, anything that we may want to change, but we're not stuck in this cycle of, oh, I'm perfect. I made a mistake, but it doesn't matter because I'm me, right?
Yeah.
But taking that opportunity so that we can grow and we can change any habits that aren't good for us, right? Because eating cookies isn't bad, like you said, but if I eat too many cookies, and maybe I have a family history of, diabetes or some other things, then maybe I don't want to eat too many cookies, right? Maybe I want to, because when I eat too many cookies and I introduce all that sugar, then I'm going to be craving a lot of that. And so I love how, just the science behind it. Again, I'm no psychologist. I love studying behavior though. And this is I'm excited about this. And I want to know next, what has been your biggest challenge that you faced as you decided to start this business, and how did you overcome it?
So I think naturally for builders, for software engineers, for technical folk, um, it's natural to think that I'll just make this great product. I have this idea, I'll do it. And this probably extends outside of tech as well, but like I'll do this and then it's going to be successful and I'll make $1 billion or I'll help a lot of people or whatever it is. And so this mindset and approach of like overbuilding. And so for me, that's like, let's see, there aren't enough users on it, so I'll just build another feature. Like what's the next feature that we need? And so having this kind of mindset of like, I need the next feature in order to get more users, in order to achieve success. Um, Getting out of that mindset is really like a very, very basic thing, but also it's something that I still struggle with every day. And so um, to overcome that, it's really just practice and it's really just kind of like hitting the pavement and talking to people, reaching out. And so focusing more on sales and marketing and outreach and these different kind of things of actually growing the user base and not necessarily just like battle testing the product over and over. It's reaching out and getting feedback and stuff like that. So it's really just like changing that mindset.
I love that. How do you stay motivated and driven, especially during tough times?
Yeah, I think for me, there are kind of two things. One is that I use this app every day. And so using it, I see places where it could be better or where it could be improved in some kind of way. And so that's a really natural way for me to just want to improve the product and want to get it in a better spot and to be motivated. But also, I truly, honestly believe that I'm in a very unique position to make a difference. And so, there are other people in this space, but I'm in a really special position to do this. And so I have almost no option. Like I'm really passionate about this and I'm going to make a difference. So the motivation is just there. Like I'm just kind of reaching to keep going.
I love that. Next, I want to ask you this. What's the most important lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur that you wish you had have known when you started?
Um, I think starting out as small as possible. And in in the tech and software world, people often use the term MVP, which is minimum viable product. So it's like starting
Yeah.
super small. Um, but again, like my first instinct is I just want to have all these features and I want to build all this stuff. But starting super small and getting to something that one person would like and that one person would pay for and getting the infrastructure and the setup to allow people to pay for something, or at least allow them to try it and give feedback. I would get there as fast as possible and then iterate on that and try to get feedback and try to get money from day one, really. Like one of the very first things I would do is, okay, what do I need to get people to start paying for something? Because sometimes people want to pay for something that I don't think they want to pay for. Actually, all the time people pay for stuff that I don't understand why they're paying for it. But that would be really what I would do from day one is think like, okay, what can get me to this first step, as opposed to being like, okay, I'm going to do all these things and then later I'm going to bring them in together and then, put it out, get people paying for it and figure out how to make it big once the product is perfect.
I love that. And I love that you brought up MVP, minimal viable product. In the work that I do, that's one of the things that I teach entrepreneurs about. But also, we have this catchphrase, dream big, start small, right? You don't have to be fully built out to where you think you're going to be in year 10 on day one. And actually, that's impossible. You haven't, especially when it comes to software, right? Technology is always changing. And, there's all these things and you got to test, you got to go through, your alpha, your beta, and do all of these things. And when you test and you get users on your platform, you get some valuable feedback. And so I feel like even in any industry, even if it's not technology, that feedback is important. That helps us to know not only how we're doing, but what our customers really want ultimately, if we want to make revenue. So I love that, you brought that up. And, we're kind of talking a little bit about scaling now. But the next thing I want to ask you about is innovation. How do you approach innovation and staying ahead of industry trends?
Yeah. So for me, this is partially natural. Like I'm an ideas person and I'm always interested in like new things and kind of finding that shiny thing. And so it's natural for me to recognize different things and kind of see them. Um, I try not to focus on my competitors per se. For me, that's like a really easy rabbit hole to go down and start thinking about other people and almost like the social media effect where I'm comparing myself to them and I get discouraged. But sometimes I'll just kind of like pick and choose little bits of things that I see naturally. And I feel like one of the things that's unique to me and really unique to everyone is the way that I'll piece these things together into this specific product. And I know that Neurture isn't going to be the one tool that's perfect for everybody, that's great for everybody to break habits or overcome whatever. Um, but it's going to work great for a lot of people. And so it doesn't need to be the perfect product. There is no perfect product, but the product that I make and where I bring all these different pieces in, that's going to make a huge impact for a certain set of people.
I love that. And I love that you're thinking about your audience, your customer, who it is that, is looking for what you have. They're looking for it, they're willing to pay for it, they're willing to give valuable feedback for it to help you improve because they want to use it. And so like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think you find the right people that it's perfect for them. This is just the right thing that I needed something and I didn't quite know what it was, and then maybe they stumble upon Nurture and it's the perfect solution for them to fill that gap that they maybe had. So I love that so much. And it sounds like you're a user as well. And so I think that's the most important thing with our products and our services, that we're not only just the owner or the creator, we're users. We're testing it out as well because it was a solution that we needed in our lives. And so I love that. Now, I want to ask you to kind of wrap up our conversation. Like, as we wrap this up, what last advice, like if you had to give some advice to a new or aspiring entrepreneur, what advice do you want to make sure that you give on this particular episode?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of times I'll reference Shark Tank again, but on Shark Tank, you see like the person that sold their house and emptied their 401k and went all in to do this thing. And I'm sure there's a place for that. But going back to what we said before, like having some kind of MVP starting somewhere, I think there's a really, really small starting point for everybody. And you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to get laid off from a job. You don't have to go all in necessarily. There is a starting point. And so even if you have kids and you have a job and you're involved in the community, whatever it is, there is some kind of starting point where you can start to get feedback. You can start to execute on whatever your idea is, and it can snowball from there. And, you know, there's going to be a struggle throughout the process, whether you're on day one or day 1000, but there is a starting point and you can figure out what that starting point is without selling everything or going all in at the start.
I love that. I love this so much. Okay, something new that I started doing a few episodes ago, and you probably have heard this. I've been asking people what their if they could have a superpower related to entrepreneurship or business, what would that be? So what would your superpower be?
Oh, I think my superpower, I feel like my memory is pretty strong in general, but I would just love to like remember everything perfectly. Like if I could just have a
Mm,
completely photographic memory and also like access any kind of memory really, really quickly. I feel like that would help me not only with like technical things like writing code, but also with remembering people I talked to, or when I said I would follow up with somebody, or different like meetings that I should be having, like not having to reference a calendar. I think just having like a perfect memory kind of put it all in there and really enable me to access stuff. And then plus like connecting, if I see you on the street like 15 years from now, I want to be like, hey, Kimberlee, how's it going? Remember when we had that chat and like we shared that connection? So I think that would be cool.
I love that. Listen, Brady, if you don't remember me and you see me on the street 15 years from now, I'm gonna be like, now I know P know who I am. No, I'm just joking. But I love that. I love that about memory though, because I'm like you. I have to look at my calendar. That's a good superpower. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Well, I enjoyed our time today, and I'm so excited that you took a little bit of time out of your day to be with me and to share with our listening audience. And we wish you nothing but success in all of your endeavors. And so, is your app currently in app stores?
Yes, it's in the App Store, so you can install it on your iPhone. It's in the Google Play Store. You can install on your Android phone. So give it a look and see what you think.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brady. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Entrepreneur Happy Hour. A big shout out to our guest today. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us. If you would like to connect with them, their handles are in the description. But also, if you go to our website, theentrepreneurhappyhour.com, you can find more information about them, be able to read a little bit about their story, and connect with them as well. We hope you found inspiration and valuable takeaways in today's conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed this episode. Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for more episodes, sponsorship opportunities, and upcoming pop-up events. Until next time, make sure that you are chasing those dreams, and remember that success is just one step away. All right, that's it. Until next time, cheers.
The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guest and not necessarily reflect the views of the host, Kimberlee Deneice, or the Entrepreneur Happy Hour podcast. This podcast is a project of the Flourishing Agency, LLC.